Welcome to the channel, guys. This is Lance here, and this is just me speaking to you guys directly for the first time, just to show you guys my top 10 3D art projects that I worked on over this past year and a half. This started off as a hobby or just sort of some time pass when I wanted to, do something while I was watching something and make use of the bulk that I had. I never realized I would get so obsessed with it, and definitely it's one of my biggest pastimes that I have now. This top 10 was really hard to select considering there are so many of my pieces which I'm really fond of. So, with a heavy heart, I had to keep some of them at bay. Uh, so, I guess we'll get into it. In the number 10 spot, we have this Nami OP0116 from the altar deck, the 3 captains. What stood out for me for this artwork was it was the first textured one piece card that I worked on. So it was a bit of a different challenge for me. I worked on it twice, once for a commission and once this piece. It has all the different locks of hair, which honestly I'd done a little bit better in the commission piece which was done. Then we have some of the offset numbering. That was also a first for these cards. A lot of firsts actually for this, that's why it holds such a lot of value for me. Also, if I were to improve something in this card, maybe it would be give a little more detailing for those leaves in the background. That would have been a little bit more detail to the card in the end. In the number 9 spot, we have this beautiful artwork from the Heatwave Arena series for Quilava. This one, with its really nice autumn theme, really struck me the moment I saw it. This is where I think the pen highlights were really standing out, especially on the trees. Quilava itself is not that detailed, but that's what helps it contrast from the background. The small autumn leaves add a few details, even small details similar to Ethan's hair, the small hair lock that is there, and even the mini centipeal on the top. This card is a really nice piece. I'm quite proud of it, and especially because I think I did this within a day, and I really didn't have any plans for that day, so I sat with it, and it ended up being one of my favorite pieces that I worked on, at least from a visual standpoint. Next, in number 8, we have this beautiful SR from OP05 for Sabo, one of the 3 brothers. This artwork has a bit of history behind it. I did work on this piece once before, and I had tried adding a lacquer coat over it, and it completely ruined the card. So I thought I would never get to work on it again until I managed to get some copies and decided to try again. This time trying to maintain the original finish, and I'm actually quite proud. And this card actually taught me a lesson that less is more. You need not always have some sort of coating on top of the card. The card itself allows it to shine. The small penwork details, even the flames at the back with the slight highlights on it with the pen marks, they help reflect light in a really nice way. I really like the finish on this card. There's nothing additional on top of it, and this is definitely one for my personal collection. In the number 7 spot, we have another art piece from One Piece. This is OP09 Law. This card is pretty notable because it's the first time that I actually used a resin substitute instead of using something like an acrylic spray. If you want to know what I use is I use Mod Podge Dimensional Magic. I used it for this small effect particles like sort of that are coming out of his hand. This is a very nice clean artwork. The giant hand in the center allowed me to have multiple layers stationed for each finger. And the only improvement I probably that sticks out for me is probably the rock details at the back I could have added, but that's for a later time. And the pen artwork also allows the character itself to stand out a bit. This is one of the few cards which I actually used a top loader cover to encase the card in it. In modern cards, I've tend to leave it open because sometimes the commissioner, people asking for the commissions prefer them to be open. But this is my personal favorite style of doing these cards. So yeah, we have this Nami promo from the Premium Card Best Series, Best Selection Volume 1. This is by far one of the more pricier projects that I'd worked on. I got a hold of a few copies before the whole One Piece market went mad. But still, despite that, this was a bit of a pricey project. This was a really fun one to work on, considering it's a card that already had a bit of texture on it, especially on the background. So even though there was a bit of texture, the texture not being on Nami itself did help me a little bit. The hair locks also pretty clean to cut out. The hat had a few details like the small rings on the top, the gloves, then the belt buckle. So small details did add up along the way. Originally I had built a different kind of frame for this, but then I decided to ditch that and go for one of these mags, and honestly I do like it. If I were to improve this, I would have probably added maybe a little bit of a border to it to enclose the card, because it is still visible from the sides. In all, pretty fun project to work on. This is one of my personal favorites in number 5 spot. We have this Kaya card from EV03. This is one of those, even though Kaya is not a really well-known character unless you are really a diehard follower of One Piece, but this card is like, I don't know, it's just something peaceful about it. And this is one of the few cards where I've actually used material outside that of TCG cards themselves. Like for example, the small pages of the book, that's actual paper, that's not any TCG card material. And these small leaves, I wanted to replicate the way the branches looked, and honestly cutting the card was not giving me the result that I wanted, nor was it giving me the stability. So I did put a few tiny copper wires and sort of built up the branches and then stuck it along and then painted all over it. This card exudes that chill vibe. It's one of my favorite pieces, pretty close and dear to me, and definitely worthy of being high up here. In the number 4 spot is one of my recent artworks. It's this Boa Hancock from EV03. It's an SR, and I really like the way this card turned out. It was surprisingly challenging because there are various parts, like for example her left hand and her left leg, they are overlapping on her other leg and on her chest, which caused a little bit of problem when gluing it together. To make it hold together was a bit of a challenge, and also I wanted it to overlap in a pretty natural way, so I had to add cuts in unexpected places. Then her snake, I forgot the guy's name. I really like the way Originally I wanted to cut him out of one piece, but then I realized you couldn't really make out the underbelly of his scales, so I decided to opt for a 2-layer approach. I'm honestly pretty happy the way this thing turned out. It barely fits in this mag case, but all in all, a pretty fun card to work on. Definitely one of the top cards whenever I need to show anyone my artwork. In the number 3 spot, we have one of my favorite characters from One Piece. That's this Poison Pink Reiju from OP06. This is my second attempt at making this card. The first attempt was actually, I was really happy with the finish, and then I decided to lacquer the entire card with lacquer spray to give it that glossy finish. It lasted well for quite a while, but after some time it started gathering dust and there were some small bubbles that started forming, so I decided against that and tried to work on it again, and did not make a mistake this time, and I decided to limit my usage of this gloss layer just to the effects of the poison and to a few other elements. This is definitely one of my favorite pieces. It is one of my older pieces too, and maybe one slight improvement I would have done is to go with the modern approach for these texts, the text of the card, where I would put a small section above it that gives it a bit of a neater finish. Despite that, definitely one of my favorite pieces that I've worked on. In the number 2 spot, we have this Charizard from Ruler of the Black Flame. And this one, I was pretty lucky to win this set of cards in an auction. There were a few of them, so I decided, hey, why not try working on a different piece. This is a completely textured card, and it's one of the few Terra cards that I worked on. With Terra comes a lot of gloss, so I tried to leave the card as much as possible in its original condition. Did not apply any additional material on the top. What I'm really proud of in this card is actually the lettering. This is the first time I actually tried cutting out the individual Japanese lettering on the top and the bottom. I'm pretty happy with the way things turned out. I'm still not very good at the numbers, but the rest of it I did manage to get it in a decent condition. Definitely one of my favorite pieces. And yeah, I mean, it's Charizard. You can't really hate on it, right? Can you? And in the number 1 spot, well, I am cheating a little bit. I really cannot pick between these two fellas. One is from One Piece, the other one's from Pokemon. I'll start with One Piece. I don't know if you guys can help me pick out which one. You can comment in the comment section. But in first place on the side of One Piece is this beautiful artwork from OP09 of my favorite character in One Piece, that being Robin. And being a teacher, an academia is the best choice of favorite character. So I really love the layers in this one, plus the different flower petals from her Hanahana fruit. I think it's Hanahana, right? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, flower fruit, that's better. This is my second attempt at making this card. I did give out the other one. This one is in my personal collection though. And this is at a point where I got a little bit better at cutting the edges. So the edges are clean. Her kimono also, the layers, I'm pretty proud of them. The hands, I'd made a few mistakes the last time I worked around it, and the only addition is on some of the petals I've had a little bit of gloss just to allow it to pop a little bit. Definitely in terms of One Piece cards, this is my most favorite piece and will probably never leave my collection. And the joint number 1 on the Pokemon side, well, again, it's technically not one card, but it's a collage of Taylor, Buzel, Mankey, Lotad, Paris, and Ponyta. This was a challenge to make, considering that this was my first time working on a collage piece, and it was the first time I was trying to color match and paint on the edges, because there is a slight problem with these artworks that if you cut them along, if I were to show you, take this card for example. This is another piece that I'm working on, and in this piece, if I cut exactly inside this boundary, it won't match up exactly to the next card, if you know what I mean. So you actually need to take the entire gray boundary into account. So when you join the cards, you actually need to paint across the gray boundary of both cards. So that itself was a learning experience for me. It's not perfect, but it does the job. Add a little bit of the gloss, the Mod Podge for the water, the tiles, the individual tiles that have been seated, the small details. It's everything for this card. And really one of my favorite pieces I worked on. The only thing now I need to do is make a really nice frame for this thing. If you have some suggestions, do let me know, and definitely I'll be looking forward to doing that new frame for this fella. And that's the top 10 list. If you have some personal favorite projects of mine that you guys know of, do let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and definitely look out for really a lot more 3D projects. Quite a few projects are in the works. If you guys have any queries for commissions, do at me at my Instagram handle, and thank you for watching.